All notebooks have two major flaws. The first one is that they're too pristine, too clean, too white, too intimidating to actually use. The second problem is that they're too long. I never finish them. I never get the satisfaction of ever finishing a book because I never want to ruin the end of it. I'm going to fix both of those problems. So, I'm trying to make a notebook that has an attitude problem. This is a notebook filled with all sorts of different kinds of paper. There's lovely Japanese notebook paper in here. There's fluorescent paper, tracing paper, graph paper, butcher's paper that's like 50 years old. This is from the abandoned TV station. Cardboard, piss yellow office paper, just there because I hate it. Lined linen paper. It's a healthy mix of cheap and expensive, found, recycled, and bought with the intention of making cool things. Okay, now we're going to turn these pages into a book, and for that I made templates. The hardest part of this whole entire project is cutting out the template. There's lots of ways to do it, lots of materials to make it out of, you'll work it out. But let me show you how I made my templates. To get notebooks exactly like mine, you'll get the paper template. It's for free, it's in the description. You transfer that template onto something a bit thicker and more durable. This one is made out of particle board. I got my friend Zane to cut this one out on his bandsaw. This one is my original one. This is made out of a bit of plywood. I used a saw to cut this out and I just sanded it to the exact size. Now we're going to make one out of EPVC, but alternatively you could use like 3, 4, 5 mil thick particle board or MDF to the same result and the same ease. Yeah. We stick the template on with a little bit of spray adhesive, not a lot, just enough that it will stick. Then using a steel rule, we will cut this out carefully without cutting off our fingers. Every single notebook you make will use this template, so it's worthwhile taking your time with it and getting it right. And it looks straight to me. To protect our notebook from the elements, we need a cover. And so I've taken a whole bunch of Arcane Ugly artwork. Arcane Ugly is my tabletop RPG, and I have turned that artwork into covers just at my local print shop, all scaled down to size. I also got my wonderful girlfriend to design some spellbook covers as well. And if you're like me and you like something a bit more low-key, a bit classier, maybe you don't have a great printer, I just got this faux like leather cardstock, which makes for a really good cover as well. A lot of options. All these files you'll find in the same place that you got the template from. Okay, so these are all the pages we're using. All these are just A5 pages folded in half, by the way. Okay, it is now time to staple our book. And this can be a little bit tricky because you really want to line up the staple nicely in the center of the... Yeah, look, good enough is good enough. I re-stapled this middle one because I wasn't really happy with its placement, but that looks good. Let me address the stapler. It's a long stapler. I get it. It's designed for doing books and pamphlets and brochures and that sort of stuff. I bought this specifically because the stapler I had was too short. It couldn't reach into the middle of the book. Now, what can you do if you don't want to buy a big stapler like this? Well, there are a few options. You can do the side staple, which is like this. Now, if you don't like these sort of pointy, taggy bits sticking out, you can take a hammer and just go. If you're around a local print shop that has an area where you can cut and staple and stuff like that, look it up. That's a good option as well. Otherwise, you can look up traditional bookbinding. I like doing things fast, and that's why I use a stapler. Now, let's talk about staples. I am using copper staples because they look cool. That's it. They look cool and magical. Yeah. Okay, it is time to cut our book. Now, we use our template. You'll notice our template is much smaller than our cover design. This outside edge, this is called bleed, and we use bleed so when we cut it, we get a nice seamless edge. We don't have any white paper showing. I have some clamps here. These clamps were like I don't know, $2 or something. Dirt cheap from the dollar shop. You want a nice sharp blade, and we're just gonna take our time. Now we should have a pretty good book. You gotta be happy with that. That's nice. Okay, so each notebook takes about 10 minutes to make, which really not very much time. Really happy with that. Some of them have some really cool pages in them, like this gold paper. Some of them I got a bit fancy and I've done rounded corners. You can do that just by clamping the corners, cutting them and then sanding them. You can also do it on the belt sander and just zzz. This one's my everyday carry one. What I've discovered is the transparency tracing paper, really cool for doing awesome like double-sided designs. If you want to give this a go, miscast.co, there'll be templates there, there'll be covers for you as a way of saying thank you for people who donate. There'll be some extra covers there for you. Patrons, you'll get exclusive covers as well. Yeah, Patreon is really kicking off at the moment. Rachel and I are doing a twice weekly newsletter at the moment, and it's filled with tips and tricks and all sorts of fun stuff. If Patreon doesn't sound like your jam and you still want to support me, consider subscribing. It helps, I'm told. So yeah, have fun. Okay, bye.